Against the backdrop of azure seas and skies, the town of Sapphire Cove resembled a painting. It was a dream destination for many, with its golden beaches, swaying palm trees, and luxurious resorts hidden along the coastline. Today, the town witnessed its most dazzling moment, the wedding of Evelyn Harper and Daniel Carter. Evelyn, a stunningly beautiful bride, seemed to light up the entire coastline with her smile. Daniel, a handsome and dashing groom, radiated anticipation for the future. The two were college sweethearts, and their journey from campus to the wedding altar had been dubbed a fairy tale ending by their friends. The wedding venue was arranged like a dream, with a white rose arch, a gentle sea breeze, and tears of emotion from the guests. Everyone believed that this was a match made in heaven, destined for a lifetime of happiness. Yet, beneath this perfect facade, were there hidden cracks? What was concealed beneath the romantic atmosphere of the wedding? As Evelyn walked hand in hand with Daniel, smiling as they stepped into their future, no one noticed the fleeting complexity in her eyes. Perhaps this wedding was not the beginning of a fairy tale, but an intricately woven illusion. After the wedding, Evelyn and Daniel checked into Sapphire Cove's most luxurious resort, Azure Haven. Known as a slice of heaven, it offered private beaches, infinity pools, and lavish suites, all tailored for the newlyweds. For the first few days, they reveled in their honeymoon bliss, savoring every moment like any couple deeply in love. During the day, they lounged by the pool. Evelyn wore a white bikini, while Daniel, sporting sunglasses, held a frosty cocktail in his hand. In the evenings, they enjoyed candle-lit dinners on the beach, the waves gently lapping at the shore, the moonlight casting a soft glow on their faces, as if the world had paused just for them. At night, they strolled hand in hand under the palm trees, Evelyn's laughter echoing through the night air, while Daniel gazed at her tenderly, as though she were his entire world. Yet, amidst this seemingly perfect honeymoon, subtle details began to surface. Evelyn's friends noticed that she had suddenly gone silent on social media. No photos, no updates, not even a simple status post. Her family tried reaching out, but her phone always went unanswered. This unusual silence left them uneasy, as if something ominous was quietly unfolding. At the same time, resort staff also picked up on some strange occurrences. The Do Not Disturb sign outside Evelyn and Daniel's suite remained hanging well into the afternoon, never taken down. Occasionally, low murmurs of argument could be heard from inside the room, though they would quickly subside. No one knew exactly what was happening between the newlyweds, but a faint sense of unease began to permeate the air. On the morning of the fifth day, the sun was still shining brightly, and the sea breeze gently brushed past. Everything at the Azure Haven Resort seemed to be operating as usual. However, this tranquility was soon shattered. The resort's housekeeping staff, as they did every day, went to clean Evelyn and Daniel's suite, only to find the Do Not Disturb sign still hanging on the door. Out of respect for the guests' privacy, they decided to return later. By the afternoon, the sign still hadn't been removed. The housekeeping staff felt something was off and gently knocked on the door. There was no response. They knocked a few more times, but still, there was only silence. A sense of foreboding crept over them, and the staff decided to use a spare key to open the door. As the door opened, the scene before them left everyone stunned. The suite was in complete disarray, furniture overturned, a shattered vase on the floor, shards of glass, and scattered items everywhere. Most horrifying of all, the bed and floor were covered in blood. Daniel lay in a pool of blood, his body bearing multiple wounds, lifeless. Evelyn, however, was nowhere to be found. The police quickly arrived at the scene, and the atmosphere at the resort shifted from paradise to hell in an instant. What was once a place filled with laughter and joy was now dominated by the sound of sirens and tense whispers. Investigators carefully examined the room and found that all the doors and windows were locked from the inside with no signs of forced entry. This meant that if this was a murder, the killer was likely inside the room, or had been inside at some point. Evelyn's disappearance made the case even more complicated. Was she a victim or a suspect? The police began piecing together the timeline, trying to reconstruct the events of that night. According to the resort's surveillance footage, Evelyn had been seen talking to a stranger on the beach the night before the incident, but the man's identity remained unknown. Additionally, some guests reported hearing intense arguing from the suite late at night, followed by a loud thud. As the investigation deepened, the police discovered that Evelyn and Daniel's relationship wasn't as perfect as it had seemed. In the weeks leading up to the wedding, Evelyn had repeatedly mentioned Daniel's betrayal to her friends, though she never went into detail. Daniel's family, on the other hand, revealed that he had amended his will just before the wedding, leaving the majority of his estate to Evelyn. This discovery made the motive behind the crime even more perplexing. Evelyn's disappearance left the police in a dilemma. Was she a victim of the case, or the mastermind behind it all? To find the answer, the authorities began an extensive search for her. First, they issued a nationwide missing person alert and distributed Evelyn's photo and information to major media outlets and transportation hubs. At the same time, the police conducted a thorough search of the resort. In Evelyn and Daniel's suite, they discovered a hastily packed suitcase. The suitcase was stuffed with clothes and cosmetics, clearly indicating that Evelyn had made a last-minute decision to leave. Even more puzzling was the fact that her passport was missing, yet she had not checked out at the resort's front desk. All of this suggested that Evelyn's departure was not planned, but rather a rushed decision. Witness testimonies provided new leads for the case. A guest at the resort recalled seeing Evelyn walking alone on the beach on the morning of the incident. She was wearing a simple white dress and appeared calm, even somewhat indifferent. The guest also mentioned that Evelyn had stopped to chat with a few tourists, speaking in a relaxed tone, completely unlike someone about to flee. Another staff member provided an even more crucial clue. He remembered that on the evening before the incident, Evelyn had been seen speaking in low tones with a stranger by the beach. The man was tall, wearing a dark jacket and a low-brimmed hat that obscured his face. The two spoke for about 10 minutes before the man hurried away and Evelyn returned to the suite. These clues led the police to realize that Evelyn's disappearance was not accidental, but carefully planned. Her calm and methodical actions suggested that she might have had premeditated intentions, and that mysterious man was likely her accomplice. As the investigation deepened, the police gradually uncovered the complex truth behind Evelyn and Daniel's relationship. By interviewing their friends and family, the police discovered that this seemingly perfect marriage had long been riddled with cracks. A close friend of Evelyn revealed that a few weeks before the wedding, Evelyn had emotionally confided in her, claiming that Daniel had betrayed her. It turned out that Daniel had an affair with a former colleague, Laura, shortly before the wedding. When Evelyn found out, she was filled with anger and pain, but she chose to suppress her emotions because she didn't want to ruin the wedding. She said she wouldn't let him off easily, the friend recalled, but she didn't specify what she would do. I thought she was just venting. I never imagined she would actually take action. Meanwhile, Daniel's family provided some crucial information to the police. They mentioned that Daniel had suddenly revised his will a few days before the wedding, leaving the majority of his assets to Evelyn. This move puzzled the family, as Daniel had never mentioned any financial issues. Now it seemed this might have been part of Evelyn's plan. She hoped to gain Daniel's wealth through marriage, and his betrayal prompted her to act sooner. The police also discovered that Evelyn had repeatedly searched for information on how to disappear and forging identities before the wedding. These search records aligned perfectly with her actions, further proving that she had planned this in advance. Additionally, her bank account showed that she had withdrawn a large sum of cash before the wedding, and the whereabouts of this money remained unknown. Even more shocking was the partial recovery of deleted messages from Evelyn's phone through technical means. One text message revealed that she had been in close contact with a man named Victor. Victor was a black market figure with a criminal record, specializing in helping people forge identities and evade legal consequences. The text messages indicated that Evelyn had paid Victor a substantial fee to help her disappear completely. These findings made the police realize that Evelyn's disappearance was not a spur-of-the-moment decision, but a meticulously planned escape. Her calmness and thorough planning sent chills down their spines, and Daniel's death might have been an unintended consequence of this scheme. Victor's name became the key to the case. The police quickly launched an investigation into him and found that he was a notorious disappearing expert who specialized in providing services for those who wanted to escape legal sanctions or start a new life. His clients included fugitives, debtors, and even some people who wanted to get rid of the shackles of marriage. Victor's whereabouts were secretive and left almost no traceable traces, which made the police feel tricky. Through Evelyn's mobile phone records, the police found that her contact with Victor began 2 weeks before the wedding. The text message showed that Evelyn paid Victor a huge fee and asked him to help her disappear completely. Victor replied with some detailed instructions, including how to avoid surveillance, how to forge identity documents, and how to keep a low profile during the escape. The police also found that Victor appeared near Sapphire Cove the day before Evelyn and Daniel checked into the resort. A witness said that he saw a man who matched Victor's description wandering around the pier outside the resort, seemingly waiting for someone. This clue convinced the police that Victor was likely involved in Evelyn's escape plan. In order to find Victor, the police retrieved surveillance videos around the resort. In a blurry video, they found a man in a dark jacket and a hat who exactly matched the description of the witness. The man had a brief conversation with Evelyn on the beach the night before the incident and then left in a hurry. Although the picture was not clear enough, the police were basically sure that the man was Victor. As the investigation deepened, the police gradually pieced together Evelyn's plan. She took advantage of the honeymoon opportunity to cooperate with Victor and tried to escape without Daniel's knowledge and take away his property. However, Daniel's death made this plan unexpected. The police speculated that Evelyn may have had a conflict with Daniel during the escape, which led to his death. The police quickly launched a hunt for Victor. Through technical means, they locked Victor's hiding place, an abandoned hut on a remote island. The island has complex terrain, dense jungle, and is almost isolated from the outside world. It is an ideal hiding place for fugitives. The police immediately organized a task force to search the island. Deep in the island, the police found traces of Evelyn. Her suitcase was abandoned in a dilapidated wooden house, and her clothes and cosmetics were scattered all over the floor. It was obvious that she had stayed here for a short time. More importantly, the police found Evelyn's mobile phone in the nearby bushes. Although the phone had been formatted, technical experts successfully recovered part of the data, including her detailed escape plan with Victor. Based on the information in the phone, the police learned that Evelyn had planned to meet Victor on the 5th day of her honeymoon and then escape from Sapphire Cove by boat. However, Daniel's death disrupted her plan. The text message showed that Evelyn had sent an urgent message to Victor on the night of the incident. "The plan has changed. I need to leave immediately." Victor replied, "Act as planned. I will pick you up." At the same time, the police found Victor's trace on the other side of the island. A local fisherman reported that he had seen a man and a woman leave the island by boat late at night, and the direction was unknown. The police speculated that the man and woman were Victor and Evelyn. After several days of pursuit, the police finally intercepted Victor and Evelyn in a remote bay. Evelyn appeared unusually calm when she was arrested, while Victor tried to resist, but was eventually subdued. During the interrogation, Evelyn confessed her crime. She said that she originally just wanted to escape from Daniel and take his property, but Daniel's death was an unexpected accident. "I just wanted him to pay the price," Evelyn whispered, "but I never thought of killing him. We had a fierce argument that night, and he tried to stop me from leaving, but he fell down during the argument. I panicked and could only escape according to Victor's plan." Victor insisted that he was only hired by Evelyn and knew nothing about her plan. "I just helped her escape, and I didn't know anything else," he said. "I didn't expect things to turn out like this." The case of Evelyn and Victor quickly moved to trial. In the courtroom, Evelyn's calm demeanor contrasted sharply with Victor's silence. The prosecution presented a wealth of evidence, including text messages between Evelyn and Victor, surveillance footage from the resort, and Daniel's autopsy report. All of this evidence pointed unequivocally to Evelyn's premeditation and Victor's involvement. Evelyn's defense attorney attempted to argue that her actions were driven by extreme emotional stress and long-term psychological trauma. However, the judge and jury were unconvinced. In the end, Evelyn was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole for second-degree murder. Victor, on the other hand, received a 20-year sentence for aiding and abetting the crime and identity fraud. The trial's outcome shocked the entire town of Sapphire Cove. Once seen as the perfect couple, Evelyn and Daniel were now reduced to one lying in a grave and the other spending the rest of her life behind bars. Their story became a hot topic in the media and among the public, even inspiring TV dramas and documentaries. For Daniel's family, the trial brought some measure of closure, but it could never fully compensate for the loss of their loved one. Evelyn's parents, meanwhile, were consumed by guilt and confusion, unable to comprehend how their beloved daughter could have taken such a dark path. The residents of Sapphire Cove gradually recovered from the shock, but the town's tranquility had been shattered. The resort's business suffered a significant decline as tourists avoided the area due to the tragedy. Despite efforts by local authorities to rebuild the town's image, the label of murder scene lingered. Evelyn spent the rest of her life in prison, her name slowly fading from public memory. Victor, during his time in prison, remained silent, never revealing any details about the case. This tragedy, born out of love, ultimately ended in destruction, serving as a timeless warning. The cost of hatred and revenge is far heavier than one might imagine.